Greetings and welcome back to Beyond Hypnosis TV. Whether we are gossiping about someone else or whether we're saying something negative about ourselves, we are creating problems within our minds and our bodies. All dis-ease, begins with a diseased mindset, and it trickles its way down through the various bodies into the physical body. And so that's why it's so very important for us to be forgiving. We can always redeem negative things that we've put out into the universe by forgiving and undoing them, if you will, using those pruning shears that we've spoken about in past recordings. In the privacy of our own minds, we go in, visualize, and snip out what we didn't want and replace that with what we do want. And then we can redeem that energy that we lost to vanity, if you will. Certainly it is delusional to imagine that you can go back in time and change things. There's been a lot of talk about wormholes and time machines and all of that, but what's really important is that we can go back into our own time, our perceptual time, and change our experiences by changing our feelings and beliefs about them. And the best way to do that is to do it on the subconscious level. The subconscious mind basically records our experiences and the things that we've done in the past. And so by using those pruning shears to go in and change them, take out what we do not want, what we did not prefer to have happened, and reinsert what we would have preferred instead, and visualizing that repetitively, we are retraining our subconscious mind to have experienced the beneficial. And in that way, we can rid our minds of any regret, painful feelings and experiences. And that way we can have a do-over, if you will. And that is the redemptive power of that Christ consciousness, which we're all moving towards and wanting to emulate. So that is one of the major components and the reasons for following up with the conjugation of the verb to be, learning how not to use the Lord's name in vain, that we learn how to use it aright and recognize that we are creating in every moment with the words that we're speaking. Thoughts are one thing. You have a thought, but when you act upon it by speaking it, by writing it, by acting out what you're speaking about, you have given it flesh. And so it's very important that we are mindful of what we say and what we do. And we also want to use that Christ consciousness to blot out the transgressions of others in our lives. And that means big time forgiveness. Forgiveness is huge. We all want to be forgiven for things that we wish we hadn't done in the past. And so why not forgive others? When we do that, we have a fresh start. And we've actually used the Lord's name, our creative power, in a beautiful and beneficial way. It's a soothing, healing balm when someone forgives you. It's comforting to know that you're valued and that you're not torn down forever and ever. You are forgiven and you are redeemed. And we can do that for others. We can do that for ourselves, by recognizing that when we see somebody demonstrating bad behavior, if you will, or if we behave in a way that is not desirable, we can know that we have stepped into a state. And there are many, many states that we can step into at any given time. When we step into a state that is not positive, one that is damaging, we can step out of that state. We're not there permanently. And the same is true for other people. People change, people learn, people grow. People act out of ego. And it's all based in fear when we're behaving in a negative way towards others and towards ourselves as well. So when we recognize that someone has stepped into a state of fear, we can realize that they are acting from their humanity, not from that higher part, the God self. We always want to remember to know that they are uh, an emanation of God just as we are. And so we want to always see one another and ourselves as our true selves. And that when we act in ways that are not demonstrative of that divinity, that we have just stepped into a state that is temporary. And it is temporary unless we want to keep remembering it, if we want to keep repeating it, if we want to keep beating people over the head with what they've done, then we're the ones that are creating the problem. And that is where forgiveness comes in. Even the scriptures speak of it. He that covereth the transgression seeketh love, but he that repeateth a matter separates friends. Proverbs 17:9. Very important there. So when we see somebody behaving in a way that is hurtful, they may have hurt us. We have to recognize that our belief in attack is erroneous. That attack is just coming from fear. That has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with the individual and the state that they have stepped into. Keeping that in mind helps us to think clear of digging ditches for ourselves and other people. I think that there's a Chinese saying that says, when you want to commit revenge, you might as well dig two graves, one for them and also one for you. You want to always be forgiving. Now, that doesn't mean that you condone what the person has done. They did it, and it was damaging. But it does mean that you forgive them and realize that they can step into another state. But you don't want to hang out in the state, and you don't want to continue to see them in that state. It doesn't mean that you have to subject yourself to their repeated states of negativity, if you will. You can love people from a distance. Peace and blessings, and I thank you so much for listening.